stick, and it just wouldn't do anything different. But you look at the talent that are going up, and with minimal room to really grow and make something of themselves, where Vince McMahon wants these talents to be reaching for the brass ring. And how can a talent, or talents if you're talking tag team wrestlers, how can they reach for the brass ring where they're only doing what you're feeding them and you're only to do what you're fed? So that's where NXT, I like it better. It has the old school feel. You have room to grow. You have room to do whatever it is you want. So we'll kind of see where it goes from here. I'm interested with the NXT call-ups, but at the same time, you look, and here's the thing that bothers me: you Vince McMahon comes in for a shakeup. All right, you get a shakeup, but is it really a shakeup? You get the talents coming in from NXT, but what does it mean? You relieved Paige of her general manager duties. You have Corbin losing, so now there's no Raw general manager. It's the four McMahons, if you include Triple H, because he is technically a McMahon. Now they're in charge. So now you're telling me that the four of them are working together, where Shane and Stephanie were the commissioners of their respective brands. Triple H runs NXT. Vince McMahon is, I guess he's going to be on camera for a little bit, because he's pretty much at every show anyway to begin with. I don't get it. I don't get where the whole, because it started with the brand split, like, oh, here's the rivalry. I want you to compete at ratings, and I want you to do this, I want you to do that. And Raw this week had a bump in ratings going up, but it wasn't a lot. And the trend in which everybody obviously always sees is the third hour is obviously the slowest hour of the program, not just by the product on television, but because of the because people just don't care. It's 3 hours of, for the WWE, it's great because you still get the ad revenue, I guess, from commercials and all that. But at the same time, you're losing ratings. Now, if this were back in the days of the Attitude Era, you'd be up the creek. There would be room for other companies like Ring of Honor to be like, well, I'm going to come in and, show what we got. And people are going to tune into that because they're doing stuff that's different. If this all elite wrestling thing comes into play, if this were back in the Monday Night War days, it would have given WWE a kick in the pants, and they would be forced to do stuff different. I think it's one of those things where fans were fed what they wanted to hear. Now let's see the action behind it. I didn't get a good idea sample-wise of that's what they're really doing. Again, but people want the Revival to be involved in the tag team division more than they are. Now they are. But it's small things like that that are a very, very tiny piece to a much larger problem. You have to keep people there. You have to keep their intrigue up. Now, I hear from people all the time, well, it's hard to write 2 hours of TV, let alone 3, and then you have another 2 that you have to write for SmackDown, and I get it. I get it, I guess. But the booking every week prior to this has been lazy. And even this past, it's been lazy, and we're going to give the fans what they want. People tune in to see Paige on camera for the little time that she's on, and they're taking that away. It's, SmackDown, you're not really paying attention to your audience, so I don't get what they're doing here. Now, will they add Paige to the commentary team, kind of reflecting off of what Renee Young's been able to do for Raw? Who knows? I don't know where they're going to... Nobody knows where they're going to go from here. But if this very brief sample size is an indication of anything, it's that the WWE is going to give you just enough to pull you in. So let's say, for example, they change direction and Finn Balor and McIntyre are in a Universal Championship feud of some sort after, let's say, WrestleMania. I know that's a far ways away, but it's still a possibility. You can't... They're giving you that little bit, but then they're going to be lazy for the rest of it. I think the rosters need to be shaken up. I think Raw also lacks that star, that obviously that gap that Roman Reigns was taken away, really was there for. And I hate, it's really amazing how Roman, his absence changes everything. Because the talent kind of, it perception-wise, you look at the talent, it's like they just let Roman make the money for them. They get their paychecks. And again, because if you're assuming with the brass up top in the WWE, they're feeding you everything you're supposed to do, and they're giving all the good stuff to Roman. But at the same time, he's, from things that you read or you've read since his diagnosis, Roman really was that locker room leader that people look to, which was great, but nobody's stepping up. But are they being given a chance to step up? Roman's presence, or lack thereof, I should say, is very noticeable. Even the Dean Ambrose-Seth Rollins feud is already stale this time around. And again, I've said it when Roman was first diagnosed. The first and foremost thing should be Roman's health. Once he gets better, and whenever he winds up coming back, the impact that Roman's return is going to make, not even just the first day, but consistently afterward. Like, if they announce that he comes back at X date, that rating's going to go up, I think, pretty significantly, because now people are going to be interested in what Roman has to say. What is he going to have a first interaction back post cancer, or leukemia, I should say. So it's amazing how one guy's absence really affects everything. And I'm just saying this for Raw. I don't know what SmackDown's ratings have been since all the decline of Raws, but right now you have a compelling feud with Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. Mustafa Ali, guy from 205 Live, very great talent, is now being given a chance and pinned the WWE Champion clean. That's a match I would actually like to see one-on-one at the Royal Rumble. I would like to see that match one-on-one at the Royal Rumble. That would be that odd match, that one-off, but it really would make for one of them classic WWE Championship Royal Rumble at the Royal Rumble matches. Because, you think of things like Benoit, Angle, and you can go on and on. But, and you think of odd matches, I don't remember it that well to really, make a comment, but you think of Brock Lesnar, Bob Holly. Bob Holly would never, I don't know why and how he got into that picture, but you look at a guy like Mustafa Ali, a cruiserweight, now competing for the WWE Championship, which would make fans happy, I think, depending on how much heat he has for maybe hurting Daniel Bryan again. I haven't read anything since the incident, so I'm assuming he's okay. And on a side note, that's another thing why it makes me nervous when Daniel Bryan wrestles, because something like that can happen. A freak accident, no pun intended to Lars Sullivan, and you're back at square one. Like, that's scary shit. That's really very scary. Anyway, let me just head off here really quick. Just going to take a quick break. When I come back, I should be joined by Matt Ryan of Capital Wrestling. Hang in there. All right, we're back here with Open Mic Wrestling Night here on Twitch, Fill in the Void Podcast Network, or whatever which way you are listening to this show, either live or on the delay, or replay, I should say. Thank you so much for that. While we wait for Matt Ryan to come on from Capital Wrestling, it's really interesting. Let me just point out another thing that's been kind of a thing where, it's been kind of going around, and how, Cody and the Bucks are tweeting here and about, their time at Ring of Honor and this. What's truly amazing? You look at the landscape of wrestling going forward. Let's just say, for fun and argument's sake, that this All Elite Wrestling is what it is and what it's going to be. You have Cody and the Bucks doing that, along with other talents. You look at the Villain Enterprises, Brody King and PCO and Marty Scurll, obviously. And he's staying with Ring of Honor for a little bit. How long his contract is for, I don't know. I haven't had the chance to really do the research on that. You have him there for a little while, where you assumed he was just going to go straight over to this new company with Cody and the Bucks, where Ring of Honor signed, obviously, guys like PCO, one of the hottest names in the independent scene, Bandito, which is another hot name. So I think this is who we're waiting for. Matthew, is this you? Matthew.
Hey, I'm
Oh, okay. Well, that was my bad. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program here. Executive producer of Capital Wrestling, Matthew Ryan. Matt, thank you so much for taking the time out to join me.
Thank you for having me on the show again. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been a little while since I had you on, but it was fun then, and I'm assuming this is going to be the same thing.
Hopefully, about a week out, tensions are high heading into December 29th, and we're excited to bring our final show of 2018 and our first TV episode of 2019 to everybody.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment, the World War IV event in which he's alluding to over in Hoboken, New Jersey. Talk about that, because the big news that came out is that Capital Wrestling is now a part of the Global Wrestling Network, which is obviously known as Impact Wrestling's streaming service as compared to the WWE Network. Talk a little bit about how that came about, and what got the ball rolling and what ultimately sealed the deal.
Well, we've been aggressively looking for new partners, new broadcast outlets, trying to expand our digital reach heading into 2019. And we had a few people that we reached out to over at the Fight Network and Anthem Sports, and we were able to have a couple of preliminary discussions, and we were able to get on the Global Wrestling Network, and we've already uploaded some of our content on there. It's going to take a little while for things to roll out, but we're hoping within the next week or so, by the time 2019 hits, you'll be able to access most, if not all, of our 89 plus episodes of Capital Wrestling Television, including some View from the Capitol stuff, our limited run digital series that we did over the summer, promoting our September 1st event, the Colossal Confrontation.
Yeah, it's actually kind of